All right, I think we're live. So, hey everybody, welcome back to the second edition of Clutch Sports Hangout. I'm Zach.
I'm
It's
Terry.
Terry, and we're just going to talk about some football today. Specifically, we're going to talk about DFS, daily fantasy. To all our viewers out there, all three of you, I apologize. It's taken us a while to put out this second broadcast, but life kind of got in the way. We had a wedding we had to go to in Florida, and then jobs and whatnot, and
Yeah.
but we're back. So it's good to be here,
So
Terry.
yeah, Zach's gonna get on his weekly fantasy rankings at some point this year,
Yes, yes, I
and it's
will.
gonna be a cool feature on the site. He's gonna
Right.
be our Matthew Berry, if you will.
Oh gosh, it's a lot of pressure. I don't
Yeah.
think I'm ready for all that hate mail,
Oh,
but
that's the best part.
I guess so. Yeah.
All
Uh,
right, we're gonna start. We're just gonna go matchup by matchup. We're using DraftKings. That's the site we use. We're just gonna take it matchup by matchup. Look at some values. Look at some guys that we think are must play, some value starts, all
strategy.
that good stuff. Yeah, some roster building stuff. So, Zach, if you want to dive in, you can pick a matchup and we'll roll with it.
All right. I'll just go. We'll go from left to right until we get to the Monday night game. Let's start with Carolina, Tampa Bay. Um, I mean, he's not going to be in a lot of my lineups, but I mean, Cam Newton has been a decent play lately. Last week he had 32, 32 points, almost 33 points. They're playing at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense isn't very good. He doesn't have a lot of weapons, but I mean, they're 3-0 somehow. So, uh,
Yeah, I I know it's nasty, and I don't. I drafted this guy in our home league, but Jonathan Stewart's done nothing for me this year. Playing Tampa Bay, this could be a get on track game for him. He's banged up. He's always banged up. I mean, when is he
who's
not? But Tampa Bay, 25th against the run. I think that's a decent matchup. Uh, Hoping for a couple scores there.
how do you feel about Kevin? How do you feel about Brenton Burson?
No, just
I'm
if you're
kidding.
thinking about drafting a Panthers receiver, just don't. Just reevaluate your life, move on.
But Greg Olson might be a good option this week. I completely overlooked him basically every single week, and then last week came back to bite me. He had like, what do you have? He had 36 points. He had 2
Yeah, he
touchdowns,
went off.
a lot of yards. He could very well do the same thing this week.
Yeah, when you think about it, I mean, Olsen is like his only Cam Newton's only red zone threat. If he's throwing a touchdown, odds are it's going to Olsen or a deep bomb to Ted Ginn, which
He'll
is
drop.
just incredible that he's even in the league. But Devin Funch isn't there yet. No Kelvin Benjamin. Yeah, Olsen's solid play.
Anybody on the Bucks you like? Mike Evans, possibly. He's had a good game last week. Kind of
I
a,
really don't.
not as
They're so risky
maybe
playing with a
in
rookie quarterback.
year-long fantasy, but as far as daily fantasy goes, there's a lot better matchups out there than Mike Evans. So
Yeah,
what?
this is a game in general you're probably staying away from.
I agree. All right, on to the next one. Houston and Atlanta. I'll let you start here. I know exactly what you're gonna say. Hello. Is anybody there? Terry, are you there? All right. I think Terry froze up on us, but I'll take it away. Houston at Atlanta. Um, we'll start with the running back position. I think after Freeman's performance last week, I think you have to consider him. He's $5,200. I know Houston's 10th against the run, but the way they used him last week, um, I think he. I mean, it's worth a shot. Arian Foster, he's $7,000. Don't know if he's going to play or not. If he does play, I think you have to try to work him in your lineup. Um, Atlanta is last against the run, according to, or yeah, Atlanta's last against the run according to DraftKings. And after what the Cowboys did last week, uh, there's a lot worse matchups you can try. Now, if he doesn't play, Terry and I were just talking about this. Maybe he'll come back in here somehow. Alfred Blue. Alfred Blue's $3,900 on DraftKings, and he got 31 carries last week. I don't expect that amount of work to come in every single week, especially not 2 weeks in a row. But if he does play, Atlanta's bad enough against the run that I think he could have an impact. Let me try to get Terry back in this thing. You back?
I'm back. I'm not sure what happened.
Cool. Well, I've just been talking to everybody about the.
That's fine.
I'm actually done with all the rankings, so you missed it, and goodbye. No, we're on the Houston Atlanta game. Just talked about the running backs. You can
Did you
add
hear anything that I got to say?
No.
Okay. Well, I was saying Houston, they faced Kansas City, who is it, Carolina and Tampa Bay. They're ranked 7th against the pass, but not great passing offenses there. Julio is going to put him to the test. He's a must play. He'll be in all of them.
Got to play Julio.
Everybody. Yep. Leonard Hankerson, pretty cheap option. He's kind of a shot in the dark, but you could do worse there. He's kind of taken over for Roddy White. Roddy White's like non-existent anymore.
0 catches last week.
And the week before, I believe.
Yeah, on the year he has 4 catches for 84 yards. So
I believe that all came week 1, but yeah, Hankerson's. I believe he's 3,700, something like that.
Yep.
On DraftKings, yeah, 37. How do we feel about Devonta Freeman this week?
Well, I was just telling them that I think that after last week, it's worth a shot. I mean, they used him a lot. I wouldn't feel confident about it, but if you're trying to I don't know, there's different strategies. If you're in a tournament where basically, in order to win big money, you kind of have to differentiate yourself and have a different lineup. Then that could be an option. I don't know. He might be a popular play this week because of what he did last week. So then again, he might, you might want to stay away from him. As far as like a cash game, like a head-to-head or a double up, I would avoid him just because while he did show out last week and they did use him a lot, I still think there's better options at running back. But he is cheap, so that's up to you.
Yeah, DraftKings has him at 52. I'm staying away. I might have him in a few lineups, but I'm staying away for the most part. I kind of need to see it 2 weeks in a row. Houston's front is very good. Clowney is really coming on against the run, especially. So I'm staying away. On the other side, Alfred Blue.
Here we go.
I know Zach hates him, but Alfred Blue, 31 carries, over 130 yards, touchdown last week. If Foster cannot go, Atlanta has the worst rush defense in the entire league. You have to play Alfred Blue. He's 3,900.
And he probably won't be played by. I guess that is if Foster does not go. But
I mean, look, if you put Julio and Odell Beckham in your lineup, you got to go cheap somewhere. You could do worse.
Yeah. Be prepared though to if Foster does play. I don't know. I mean, do you still play blue if Foster plays?
If Foster's active, I'm not playing blue. I'm not expecting a lot from Foster. I think they're going to ease him back in, but when Foster gets there, it just cloudies the situation. But if Foster's out, I think blue's a really nice play.
Um, what about one last player here, DeAndre Hopkins? Thoughts?
I I can't get on board with him just because of his quarterback, and then he just goes out and puts up 8 for 100 and touchdown every week. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those that I never get excited about, but he always comes back to bite me.
He's got 22 catches for 252 yards and 3 touchdowns on the season. Had 27 points last week. Yeah, it's kind of like that Greg Olsen. Who else are they throwing to down there? Hopkins is by far the most talented receiver on that team. So again, if you want to put him in a tournament lineup or something, just to have a different lineup, I'm still not taking him because Atlanta's defense is ranked 6th against the pass. So
and he's fairly expensive. He's 7,300.
7,300. I mean, you can for $7,300, you can get guys like Keenan Allen against Cleveland. Let's see, Randall Cobb's close to that. T.Y. Hilton, Jeffrey.
Yeah, the tiebreaker for me on receivers is always the quarterback. It's something that I always stick to. So
being a quarterback. Keep going.
I feel for Hopkins. He's so good. He really might be a top 5 receiver in the league, but until he gets a quarterback, there's always going to be that bust potential there with him.
Are you touching Matt Ryan? I know you're not touching Hoyer or whoever the heck plays in.
No, Matt Ryan. I just think there's better quarterbacks out there, cheaper.
I agree. All right. On to the next one. Jacksonville at Indy. Someone to watch here. Griff Whalen. Look for him to do absolutely nothing. You want to stay away from Griff Whalen.
Yeah. They're anti-Griff here at Clutch Sports.
Now that we've established that, let's look at the quarterbacks. Honestly, both quarterbacks, Blake Bortles, there's worse options out there. He's $5,100 against a horrible Indianapolis defense.
Yeah, and I threw this out there last week. I'm glad I didn't do it, but Blake Bortles in garbage time, you figure he has to score sometime.
Right.
Didn't really do it last week and kind of disappointed me, especially with Allen Robinson, but kind of the same situation here against a worse defense.
Right. And he finished with 17.4 fantasy points through 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. It was an average day, I guess.
And listen, 17 points out of a minimum quarterback, that's all you're looking for.
Right. And then you turn around and look at Andrew Luck last week got 18.5, and he was like the 3rd highest quarterback,
Right.
So do you trust Luck now, or?
I don't. He's still banged up. Hasselbeck took the first team reps. I know that probably means nothing, but he's banged up, and man, he was terrible against Tennessee. He was really bad, if not for like 2 or 3 blown coverages by Michael Griffin. Andrew Luck probably doesn't score. He was really bad, but just the decision making is not there right now. Whether it's chemistry or bad O-line, it's something. And I'm staying away from Luck, especially at 7,800 this week.
Right. I agree. Now on to running backs. I don't think anyone wants to really touch TJ Yeldon just because he hasn't done anything. He hasn't scored. Jacksonville's offense is really only running through Bortles, and that's, limited. Frank Gore is a guy I think you have to consider, though. Jacksonville's 29th against the run. Gore has played solid. He played solid against the Jets despite them losing. He had a few goal line. He fumbled a goal line carry, but last week he had 2 touchdowns. Finished with 22 points, 86 yards, 14 carries, and Jacksonville's 29th against the run, and he's only $4,700.
Yeah, I'm all in on Gore. I think he scores twice this week.
Yeah,
he's not going to catch the ball a lot. They bring in Josh Robinson, the rookie, in passing downs, but I mean, he's $4,700, and he's very likely to get in the end zone this week.
Yeah. Wide receivers. This is an ugly group, kind of.
It is. Hilton, you're kind of banking on the big play, which very well you might get. Don't love any of the Colts receivers really until luck gets right.
Yeah. If Moncrief was a big play last week for a lot of people. If he hadn't caught that touchdown, which was a great catch, but aside from that, he didn't do much of anything. Once again, he let me down when I needed him big time. Becoming a habit. Thanks a lot, Moncrief. Andre Johnson, no, don't even.
Andre Johnson has fallen off the cliff. I mean, he's done.
Yeah.
As soon as I say that, he'll go off this week. But from just an outsider watching, he looks done. He doesn't look comfortable in the offense. Something's not clicking in Indy yet. It might, but I don't think it's coming from Andre.
Let's see. Do you put any trust in Allen Robinson? He's a cheap wide receiver, 5,500. He'd be going up against Vontae Davis, right?
Yeah, and that's the.
Is that the reason you're staying away from him? Oh gosh. Terry has frozen again. I think what he was going to say was that's the reason he's going to stay away from Allen Robinson, or try to find another alternative. Can you hear me? All right, he was back and now he's gone. Vontae Davis is a top 5 cornerback in the NFL. Wide receivers typically don't have good days when they face him. So I think we're going to say that Allen Robinson is one that you should avoid.
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes, I just got you back. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, cool. I'm just trying to stall until you're back. All right, good. Tight ends. Did I get a report from Bleacher? Did I get a message from Bleacher Report saying Julius Thomas is playing this weekend?
I haven't heard.
I may have just imagined that. I don't know. No.
Either way, I'm staying away.
Yeah, I don't. And the fact that Indy uses 2 tight ends and neither one of them is consistent makes me scared to ever play any of them. So,
I'm telling you, just steer clear. I need to see it from Indy before I invest in them again.
But Frank Gore is about the only player from that game that we're looking at. Maybe Blake Bortles.
Yes.
Cool. Now we're on to Kansas City at Cincinnati.
I know this is a game that Zach
loves. I hate this guy. Oh, wait, what was that?
I said I know this is going to be a game that Zach loves.
Why?
He convinced me. He was trying to convince me to start AJ Green last week. I did not listen. It probably cost me about $1,000.
Yeah.
But
this is my reasoning. Last week, AJ Green plays the Ravens, and somewhere during the week, I scrolled through Twitter a lot during the week trying to catch any tips or advice or stats that could help me out. And I see this stat that said like the past 6 games AJ Green has played against the Ravens, he has like 440 yards and 6 touchdowns. I don't know what it was. It was some crazy number. And I tried to get Terry on board, but he wouldn't listen.
All right, so give us your AJ Green, Andy Dalton reasoning for this week.
Okay. Well, they're playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs are banged up at defensive back. They've got a good front 7, okay. But really, Andy Dalton's play. Like I know you hate him, and
He's
he's
a
not the
hateable guy.
he's not the sexiest guy, you know. He had 35 points last week. He's got 866 yards on the season, one interception, 8 touchdowns. I mean, and he's been on a roll. I mean, because he played last week, he played well. And who did they play the week before?
San Diego?
San Diego, and he played well then as well. Um, they're playing the Chiefs are the 31st against the pass. They're at home in Cincinnati. He's got AJ Green. Eifert's healthy. That's big. Marvin Jones is back. Um, yeah, I mean, he's $5,900. I mean,
Well, here's my thing with Kansas City. They're ranked 31st in pass defense. I get that. But I mean, they've played the Packers and the Broncos. So let's factor that in. It's only week 3. The sample size is really small right now. They face 2 really good offenses. Marcus Peters has been fantastic the first 3 weeks. He got abused a little Monday night, but you know, Green Bay moves Randall Cobb around so much. What do you expect? They out schemed him. So as much as I want to be all in on this game, I'll probably have a couple Dalton Green stacks, but I'm also gonna
and
prepare myself for failure.
for reasons we'll talk about later, Andy Dalton, like I'm all in on AJ Green. Andy Dalton, whatever. If I have him, I have him. If not, there's other guys that I like. One of them's coming up in the next game we're going to talk about. But if you do have them both, that's that combination you get. You know, when AJ Green scores 2 touchdowns this week and catches 150 yards. You heard it here first. I know you hate Alex Smith, and like you'd be dumb to use him. I feel like.
No, I'm all staying away from all Chiefs. If you want to start Charles, that's fine. He's going to catch balls. He might catch 10. They're going to be down. Um, I played him in the Millionaire Maker, and he took 2 of my millionaire lineups and put me in cash. So uh, he's probably going to churn out about 20, but you're going to pay for him.
He's 7,600. I don't think. Actually, I think this game is going to be a close game. I could even see the Chiefs upsetting the Bengals. The NFL works that way. It's funny. It's like one team gets blown out one week, one team wins a shootout. They face the next week, and then it's all of a sudden it's like the defense is, they're all of a sudden the 85 Bears, the 72 Dolphins,
Yeah.
and I think it could be a low scoring game, but at least in the first half until maybe the fourth quarter. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Chiefs won the game. But yeah, Jamal Charles is one you look at. I'm not touching Jeremy Hill until he decides he wants to play football. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
2
Gio
points
Bernard
and
is
he's
not a bad play.
Yeah,
I mean, Gio's getting the passing downs. I mean, he's getting the running downs now too, taken away from Jeremy Hill. So I have him in my dynasty, my PPR dynasty, and he does nothing but score 15 a week. So
yeah. Wide receivers. We talked about AJ Green. Do you want anybody else? Macklin, is he an option? He's 5,800.
Macklin's kind of falls into the category of the quarterback conundrum. He's going to put up big games because he's just a special talent, but I mean, I don't think you can rely on him.
But he's the guy.
He is the guy. He's like the only guy.
He caught a touchdown. He did something that no Chiefs wide receiver has done in 2 years.
It was Travis Kelce. They should use him more than they do.
Yeah,
I feel like you're rolling the dice there again, but
they need to use that. Yeah, so if they learn to use him like the Patriots use Gronkowski, he would be a lot more useful. They need to throw him the ball more. He's a monster. I'm staying away from him this week. He's $5,300. That's an expensive tight end for someone that's going against the 10th ranked defense against tight ends. Eifert is 4,600. He had 0 points last week. He should have had that was a touchdown actually that he caught, and they called it back, but he said it was a fumble or whatever, and not a catch. But there's a few more tight ends that I'm going to target later on that are a lot cheaper that could put up some decent production.
Yeah.
Any thought?
On Eifert, I just need to see some consistency, and until I do, you're pretty much just shooting in the dark there.
Yeah.
Looking ahead to Oakland and Chicago, this is a matchup that
Are you going? Are you going across?
Yeah, that was the next.
You skipped the Buffalo game.
Oh yeah. My bad.
Favorite
Got ahead. Yes, Zach, go ahead and spread the gospel of Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor is the man. Okay, let's see. What did he do last week? He had 24 points last week. He's got 7 touchdowns on the season, 3 interceptions. He can throw the ball. He's really accurate, actually. He can run the ball. He's $5,800. I want to say that again. He is $5,800. He's like I want to say I heard ESPN say he's the number 5 fantasy quarterback this season. 58. As long as DraftKings keeps making the mistake of ranking him so low, and he has a great matchup against the Giants, I'm going to play him. He's going to be on a lot of my lineups this week. It'd be dumb not to, because the quarterback's a position. There's not a lot of great matchups this week, and when you get a matchup like this against a Giants are in Buffalo, I think Tyrod puts up some big numbers.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is I told you before the season that I was all in on Tyrod Taylor, and you kind of laughed, and then you were slowly convinced. But he's not doing it like I thought he would, which was it's very interesting. I thought he'd be just running the ball nonstop and kind of like Michael Vick back there or something, but he's doing it through the air, which is pretty amazing considering where he came from. I mean, 714 through the air, 7 touchdowns, 3 picks. What has he got? He's got like under 100 rushing yards. Yeah, 96 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. So Tyrod's doing it through the air, but he's going to get you 20 or 30 on the ground probably. So he's got a great matchup. That secondary in New York is just terrible. Sammy Watkins is probably going to be in store for a couple deep shots.
I don't think he's playing this weekend, Terry. He's still nursing that calf injury. Rex Ryan said he's probably not going to play. He hadn't practiced.
He's also said that about McCoy. What's McCoy's status?
I don't think he's playing either.
Well, dang.
Which leads. So do you? Eli Manning is another option, a solid option. He's $7,000. He is more expensive, but Buffalo's pass defense isn't really great. They do have a good defense, but their weakness is their secondary. And as long as Odell Beckham is healthy, I think Eli Manning could put up some numbers. But I think there's cheaper, better option. It's all DraftKings is all about value. So when you draft someone at $7,000, you're expecting a certain number. I think you can expect those numbers, the numbers that you expect from a $7,000 or $8,000 quarterback from the $5,800 quarterback Tyrod Taylor this weekend. So that's why I'm not going to draft Eli Manning, but he's not a bad play if you want to give it a shot.
No, Ruben Randall went off last week, and I had been so loyal to this guy in my dynasty league. I benched him, and of course, he is off for 8, 116, and 2 touchdowns. So Victor Cruz is going to be out again. It seems like. I think Shefty tweeted that out today. You could do a lot worse than Ruben Randall. 4,500 and number 2 receiver. I don't think the Giants can be able to run the ball against that Buffalo front. It's nasty. It's disgusting. They're not getting anywhere with, Williams or Vereen or Jennings. Ruben Randall could be in store for, 8-9 targets, and along with Beckham.
Yeah. Odell Beckham is the man. He costs $9,100, but I think you got to play him. He's a boss. So
we'll see. I mean, the Giants have. It's kind of been frustrating being a Beckham owner because, they say all the right things in the media. Oh, we want to get him involved, get it to our best player, and then, he gets out targeted by Ruben Randall. So,
but I mean, he's still. I guess he still put up good numbers. Maybe not for $9,100, but he had 7 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown last week.
Yeah. We'll see.
That was it was an odd game. I mean, like it's the.
It was a nasty Thursday game. I mean,
block punt. I don't know. They ran the ball a lot. Yeah, so
all the Thursday matchups are just awful. I hate playing any fantasy players in any of them.
Yeah. Now on to your game, Chicago and Oakland. Go for it.
I'm a big believer in Derek Carr this week.
Yep.
That Chicago secondary is rough. Amari Cooper, I've been singing his praises since the draft. He's the second coming of Torrey Holt. I don't even know what he's on pace for, but back-to-back 100-yard games. Somebody tweeted a list this week of, Julio Jones, AJ Green. None of them have done that. 290 yards and a touchdown. If you're drafting Cooper, you're drafting him for the catches and the yardage. He's probably not going to get into the end zone a whole lot. And even Michael Crabtree this week. I mean, both guys are kind of middle of the road salary-wise.
Yeah.
2 for 6,300. That's a decent salary. Michael Crabtree, 4,600. He's cheap. You might surprise some people with the Crabtree play this week.
Yeah. Matt Forte might be a solid option too.
Yeah.
The guy, apparently there's like rumors going around that he could be traded. Apparently the Bears are just cleaning house. But
I'm not putting a lot of stock into that.
Well, 74 yards at Seattle in a game that they were trailing the whole time. He got 20 carries. So, wow, he actually didn't catch a single pass. I just read that. But you can expect that. He's going to get the ball. Chicago has no other. Jeffrey's back, but I don't know. Matt Forte's the soul of that offense, and Latavius Murray could be a good play too.
I just feel so weird about him. Maybe it's just a new name to the fantasy landscape. And he's not a rookie. Yeah, and he's not a rookie, so like there's virtually no hype. There was from some fantasy guys, but 26 carries, 139 yards, and a touchdown. Broke a 54-yarder against the Browns, which is a decent front. So he's a decent play. Chicago's just awful all the way around.
Yeah.
They're probably like the odds-on favorite for the number 1 pick.
Yeah. I'm not arguing there. And going back just to support your Derek Carr argument, he's only $5,300. So as much as I love Tyrod Taylor, I may even love Derek Carr even more because he's $500 cheaper. If you need the extra money, you can downgrade in cash to Derek Carr. They're both playing very well.
Spend your money on receivers. You can get by in other areas.
Yeah. They're actually at Martellus Bennett, I think, is the one or two. If you're going to play Forte, that's cool. But Martellus Bennett is actually, I think, a really smart play. The Raiders can't guard tight ends. Eifert tore him up week 1. Crockett Gilmore tore him up week 2. Week 3, what's his face from the Browns? Gary Barnridge destroyed the Raiders defense. Okay, so you're playing any tight end that plays against Oakland.
But are you playing him if Jimmy Clausen starts this game?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I probably personally, I'm trying a strategy right now. I've almost got my lineup complete. I don't have the money to afford Bennett. He's not an expense. He's probably middle of the road tight end. He's 4,500. I forgot to mention Charles Clay when we were talking about Buffalo. If Watkins is out and McCoy's out, I think Charles Clay gets a lot of looks. I've kind of doubled up between Tyrod Taylor and Charles Clay, and Clay is only $3,300. So that's where I'm going at tight end this week. I'm almost across the board going to be like Clay. Like last week, I was Jared Cook, except this guy actually plays good football, okay, and he's on a good team. So last week it blew up in my face, but I still had a decent week. I still came out on top in the money. So
Jared Cook is the bomb.
No arguments there. Do you go Raiders defense? Is that an option?
I was actually just looking at that, and I if you're in a pinch and you need $200 or $300, drop that defense down. If it's Cutler or Clausen,
turnovers galore.
Yeah, both of them aren't going to take care of the football. They aren't going to go out and score 20 points. So I think the Raiders defense is a decent play if you need them. I mean,
yeah,
it's not all that difficult to work in a top defense into your lineup.
This next game, it's disgusting. It's dirty. Like, oh my God. Okay, we're talking about, if you haven't guessed, we're talking about the Eagles and the Redskins. I don't want any quarterback in this game. I don't want any running back in this game. I don't think I want anybody in this game.
There's some games that you just have to wash your hands of. Well, you can make a case for
maybe
Matt
Pierre
Jones.
Garçon,
You can make a case for Matt Jones or
Jordan Reed.
Yeah, Jordan Reed. If you have to, fine. It's just nasty all around. You don't know what you're getting out of these teams. There's no consistency anywhere. You can do better.
Yeah, so do better. All right, that's all we'll say about that game.
Moving right along.
We're on to Cincinnati. Just kidding. We're on to San Diego hosting the Browns. There's a few guys I guess we can talk about. Melvin Gordon, I think, is a good play. He's 4,900. The Browns defense is one of the worst. It's the 30th against the run. You saw what Latavius Murray did last week. I think Gordon's going to get his this week. He hasn't scored yet, has he? No, he hasn't. I think he gets his first touchdown. I'm going to say Melvin Gordon scores 2 touchdowns and rushes for 100 yards this weekend. Could be another solid option as well. He's 4,600.
Cleveland, it's tough, man, because Joe Hayden used to be like just recently he was, avoid Joe Hayden in fantasy. All the fantasy guys said that and tweeted it. He got abused last week by Amari Cooper. So I think Keenan Allen is a decent play this week. Outside of that, it's kind of Danny Woodhead, 4,600. He's cheap. He gets red zone touches. He catches balls. I love Woodhead in this format. I didn't even
joke. I just think he's a good football player.
That's right. He is a good football player. Kind of had a dud week last week, but yeah, it happens. He's not the starter. So, but at 4,600, you know what risk you're taking.
Yeah. What do we get? Where are we at? We are at the Green Bay Packers at San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers is a stud, and he's probably going to throw 4 touchdowns. He's $7,900. If you're going to spend money on a quarterback, you want to do it. So for some, like, here's the thing. So on DraftKings, the quarterbacks this week, it goes Aaron Rodgers. This is just in descending order: Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson. Okay, like if Aaron Rodgers is sitting there, I'll spend money on him. I know exactly what I'm going to get. But Andrew Luck, 7,800. Drew Brees, 7,400. Peyton Manning, 7,200. Russell Wilson, 7,100. That's just too expensive for
It's crazy.
not knowing what you're going to get. And that's why, I mean, talking about Derek Carr and Tyrod Taylor, yeah, they're risks, but they're also cheap risk, you know?
DraftKings is interesting because they don't react to 1 week type stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Luck looked awful, and then he's still pretty much the same value. Tyrod's been great, and he's still just slowly creeping up.
Yeah,
so that's interesting to me.
Yeah. So we like Aaron Rodgers. Stay away from Colin Kaepernick, I think. Do you like Eddie Lacy this week?
I do. It's hard to say. I mean, they really love James Starks. And it kills Lacy's value. Lacy's going to have some big games, and he's still the number 1 guy. But I don't know. I think he's still hurting a little bit. But he did look good Monday. God, he's so fat. Did you notice that? He's huge.
He's always been that. He's fast though. He's for his size. He's kind of like he's the next kind of the bust, Jerome Bettis.
It's very, very odd to watch, but I think you can do better. I think at his price.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to take a gamble on James Starks, who's $3,800. Last week he outtouched Eddie Lacy. I know Lacy was nursing that ankle, but like I said, the Packers do love James Starks, and I don't know. Lacy is it's kind of tricky because you don't know how much they're going to run the ball. The Packers have recently kind of been they throw the ball to substitute for their run. So like, you know, these quick passes that are basically the same thing as a run.
Yeah, that's the reason why I love Randall Cobb pretty much every week. He's almost matchup proof now. He gets his 7-8 targets or catches a game. He scored 3 times? No, 2 times, and had 1 back.
3 times.
Oh, was it 3? Yeah.
35 points, 91 yards, 7 catches.
Yeah. James Jones, 5,300. That's a very good play in my mind.
Yeah.
Whatever chemistry him and Aaron Rodgers have, it's just incredible. They picked up right where they left off, like nothing ever happened. But he had a 30-point game last week too.
Yeah, James Jones. He scored in what was it? He scored in 23 of the last 25 games or something with Aaron Rodgers. And now that Devontae Adams is hurt, and I'm hearing that he won't play, or he's in a walking boot right now. So, for $5,800, $5,300.
Yeah.
For $5,300 last week, even cheaper. It was like $4,000 last week. You got 7 catches, 139 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's value. That's how you win money right there.
You want a shot in the dark? Ty Montgomery.
Yeah.
I hated him coming out. I really did not like him. He was like a hybrid running back receiver at Stanford. Didn't have good hands, but playing with Aaron Rodgers, of course, you know, he's lighting it up. They targeted him a lot to open that game. He kind of tapered off in the end. He only ended with 2 catches, but I
think that would go up.
I can't find his targets. It felt like he was targeted 6 or 7 times in the first half alone. And if Adams is out, you know, Montgomery slides into that number 3 role. He's minimum play.
$3,000. Yep. Tight ends. Andrew Corliss is out. So that may bump Richard Rodgers up a little bit. What did he do last game? He only had 2 catches. It's tough because there's a lot of balls. There's a lot of targets to be thrown around. You've got Cobb, you've got Jones, you've got Montgomery now. Running backs catch some, but if you want to just shot in the dark and hope for a touchdown, 2,500. That's a minimum tight end. $2,500 for the Green Bay Packers offense. It's not a bad tight end to have.
Yeah, if you're taking shots in the dark, take them with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he's got a flashlight.
Wow.
Do you like the Packers defense in this game?
No, I really don't. I think we'll give up the guard at some point. Kind of similar to this week. Alex Smith scored nearly 30 on him. I don't think that secondary is great.
No.
It kind of pains me to say this, but I don't mind playing Colin Kaepernick this week.
You see this face right here?
Do what?
You see this face I'm making?
No. Yeah. I figured. He's 5,500. It's kind of a garbage time philosophy, but
I get. I mean, he's at home. Surely they can't be that bad all the time, right?
And you've always got the opportunity for him to run the ball and get rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's 5,500. There's a lot of cheap quarterback options.
All right. Next game, Minnesota at Denver. What are you thinking? This is a weird game.
It's kind of an odd matchup. Peterson's leading the league in rushing, but he gets a tough front. C.J. Anderson, I'm sorry if you drafted him. I'm so sorry. I hate him in all formats. Zach loved him last week. He didn't do a thing.
Okay, he was concussed. If he had played the game, maybe he would have
suck it up, Buttercup.
Scored. That's the NFL's problem, that they're taking players out of the game because they have a concussion.
I'm sorry.
Like it's dangerous to play with a concussion.
Peyton. It's early in the year. Peyton's going to be good. Capitalize on that while you can.
He's too expensive.
Well, I'm not talking about just Peyton. His receivers,
Oh, yeah. Demarius Thomas. Emmanuel Sanders.
Demarius is a forgotten man, for me at least, on DraftKings, because I'm obsessed with Julio and Beckham this week.
And Brown.
But, I mean, he's 8,100, and he's going to put up similar numbers. He always seems to be in that 7, 8, 9 catch range and right at 100 every week. So doesn't have the touchdowns to go with the production this year, but drawing Xavier Rhodes, it's a bit of a tough matchup, but they're going to get him screens and stuff like they always do.
I'll tell you a guy that I really like, Mike Wallace. I like him to sit on my bench and never be in my lineup again.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm a little bitter. I'm a Dolphins fan here, so no. Minnesota hasn't thrown, I don't know what happened, but they forgot how to throw the ball. I'm not touching. I'm staying away from Peterson. I know he's Adrian Peterson, but that Minnesota or that Denver defense looks really good. I would
not touching any Vikings.
Yeah, I may in one or two lineups grab Emmanuel Sanders. I'd probably grab Demarius Thomas before I grab Sanders. I like them both. They're going to get a lot of targets, but
see, I'm pro Sanders this week. I just think he's going to avoid Xavier Rhodes.
Yeah, he seems to get more I don't know. He had 9 targets on Sunday. He's gotten at least 9 targets, I think, every game or something like that.
Well, they use him all over the field, and he's more of a slot guy, so he gets more favorable matchups, and he's a little cheaper. He's going to save you $400. So.
Yep. I'm not touching any of these tight ends.
Nope.
Disgusting. The first defense I may take, not in the lineup I'm building now, but Denver's defense. If they do find a way to stop Adrian Peterson, I think they have the corners that they can stack the box, and then they have the secondary to shut Bridgewater down.
Hey, their pass rush is something serious. It might be the best in the league, and Minnesota's offensive line has been trash. They're going to rack up the sacks, probably force Teddy into some picks. So, yeah, I like Denver's defense a lot.
All right, on to the next game. We got 3 or 4 more left. St. Louis at Arizona.
Speaking of defenses I love, Arizona gets Nick Foles.
At home.
Yeah, at home. They're probably going to be in all my lineups. Just go ahead and mark that in.
They'll probably score how many? I feel like every time the Arizona does this, like I'm playing against them in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Like they'll go off and score like their defense will score like 30 fantasy points or something like that. It happens all too often. But yeah, I think they get a few picks. The St. Louis offense has no heartbeat. Maybe Todd Gurley changes that next week, but probably
Well,
not.
here's the thing: they drafted like 7 offensive linemen, and none of them were really ready. So Gurley's got a tough road ahead. Not a lot up front. Certainly, might even be a drop off from what he had at Georgia. So that's tough. I hate all the Rams offense. Just stay away. Larry Fitzgerald, like what's going on here? Is it?
He's back,
like
baby.
2008 all over again.
He is a quarterback. I'll admit that I was a doubter because it's almost not my fault. But when someone's inactive for so long, like not doing anything that it's worthy of SportsCenter or any highlights, you just kind of forget about him. And that's what's happened the past 2 or 3 years when he's been playing with, Joe
Drew
McGee and Drew Stanton, like whoever they found on the street, whatever homeless people they brought in for quarterback or whatever. I mean, in 9 catches last week, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was 2 multi-touchdown games in a row. He's got 5 touchdowns on the season. The Rams secondary can be had.
Yes, it can.
I mean, he's 6,500, so DraftKings, he's probably received one of the biggest boosts as far as dollars go.
Easily.
I think he's a good play as far as he's going to get targets and some catches. I'm not in love with it, but he's proven me. I mean, the past 2 weeks he's scored like 80 fantasy points. So who am I to say? And he hasn't been in any of my lineups. So
yeah, I mean, like you said, for someone that's been irrelevant for so long, it's hard to just dive in. The millionaire lineup a couple weeks ago had him in there. I mean, who would think to play Larry Fitzgerald after he's done nothing for like 4 years?
Yeah, even week 1. I mean, he had a decent week 1, but more power to him.
He's hot. I think you got to start him in at least a couple of your lineups just to cover yourself.
Yeah. A guy that I love and I have in my year-long fantasy lineups is John Brown. I'm not playing him this week. He's only $5,100, but I think you can get more upside with guys. I don't know. He seems like the talk coming in. The talk coming into the season was John Brown. John Brown. He's like the number 1 guy, and he was for week 1, and then Larry's kind of been like not so fast, man. Larry, it's Batman and Robin. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, his value's kind of gone up, and he hadn't really done anything over the past couple of weeks. So you can do better.
Do you like Chris Johnson? I know you hated him the first week he played. He only ran for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. He's only $4,500, and Bruce Arians seems to believe in him. He said even when Ellington comes back, he's going to get 15 to 20 touches.
I just hate the thought of Chris Johnson being in my lineup, but
he's a Titans fan, so.
But I mean.
But yeah, I get it. It's against St. Louis running the ball. It's kind of tough against them.
And St. Louis hasn't even been great against the run. I mean, they can get after the passer, but their rushing stats are
horrible.
Actually, you're right. They're 26th in the league. My bad.
Yeah, it's kind of like dumbfounding, but it's still Chris Johnson. I think there's a big risk there. Sure, he did it last week, but I don't know if he can do it again. I really didn't think he had this much left in the tank, but I don't. He won't be in any of mine. I'll say that.
One last guy we'll talk about. I don't think there's any tight ends in this matchup that we want to talk about. It's Carson Palmer. He's just getting the shaft from everybody. I don't know why. He's leading like the number one offense, or top three at least in the league. He is $6,800. I mean, what did he do last week? He had 22 points, threw for 2 touchdowns and a pick. He's got 9 touchdowns on the year, 2 interceptions, 803 yards, quarterback rating of 117. As far as consistency, like it's like you know what you're going to get with this guy. You're going to get at least 20 points, 2 or 3 touchdowns, maybe 4, maybe who knows, 250 to 350 yards. He's a solid fantasy play, if you ask me.
Yeah, and he's still unowned in a lot of year-long leagues, which is mind-blowing. But you're right. I mean, I guess it's kind of the thought that goes along with the Cardinals that it's just been a dormant offense for the past few years. But Palmer's there. I saw a stat. He's like 9-0 dating back to last year in his last games. So
yeah, I mean, when he played last year, the Cardinals were good, and he's playing again, so the Cardinals are good. On to next game, Dallas at New Orleans. Now, are you a believer that Brandon Weeden throws the most beautiful ball that you've ever seen?
no, I'm not.
Because Jerry Jones said that, and I think that he should realize that everyone and their mothers realize he is lying. I feel maybe he's. I don't know. That just feels like an insult to like Troy Aikman and Staubach and the great Cowboy quarterbacks.
You got to say what you got to say to keep
To give him
around.
confidence, but I think Brandon Weeden even knew that he was lying.
That's the dreaded vote of confidence that the owner gives at the press conference. When they're sticking with their head coach after they start 0-10. All the faith in the world.
Oh, like Joe Philbin.
Yeah, like Joe Philbin.
Freaking Joe Philbin. But hey, I mean, who am I to talk though? Brandon Weeden now holds the record for most consecutive completions from a Cowboy quarterback. He started out like, what was it? He had like 20 completions in a row, like from last game up until in the middle of the game. I mean, but his stats, I don't know. He was just really conservative. I feel like he was 22 of 26 for 232 yards and a pick. He only had 8.3 fantasy points for someone who only threw 4 incompletions. It's worth a shot, maybe. He's only $5,100. If it's a Rob Ryan defense, which we all know sucks. I don't know how Rob Ryan still has a job as a defensive coordinator.
If you want a shot, let's look at the facts.
You need to save money somewhere.
Lance Dunbar, all he does is catch passes, and I'm not just saying that. That's literally all he does. He had 10 catches for 100 yards.
He had 1 rush.
Yeah.
Had 23 and a half fantasy points. He only has 2 rushes on the season. So, yeah, he does catch passes.
And, Wheaton's in there. He's going to check down. All backups do. Dunbar, he got 20 points last week. If you're getting 20 points out of your minimum guys, you're probably winning some money.
Yeah. He's $3,600, super cheap. His price went up a little bit. Joseph Randall, I think, is a guy you should invest in.
Yes, Dallas is going to run the ball for sure. I'll have him in most of mine. He looks good. I mean, he looks explosive. He looks as good as, if not better than DeMarco looked last year, which is saying a whole lot. That line is insane. Probably the best in the league.
Yeah, no doubt.
Dunbar hurts his passing value a little bit, but still,
he still catches some passes.
Yeah, you're going to get enough rushing value out of him, especially against New Orleans.
How do you feel about the Saints running backs, Mark Ingram and CJ Spiller? Mark Ingram had 21 points on Sunday.
I know. I've hated all the Saints running backs every week. It seems like since Sean Payton got there, because he just loves the committee approach, and
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it's a big risk.
I think if you're gonna gamble this week, I think CJ Spiller could be a solid gamble. He's $3,900, and Sean Payton said he's been saying for weeks so Spiller played week 2 and he only had like 7 touches, and then last week they said we're gonna get him the ball more. Well, he had 1 carry for 4 yards and like 2 catches, but I think that again. Peyton said that they need to get him the ball more. And I think if you're going to do that in a game, why not do it in a game against the Dallas run defense, who's 24th against the run? You saw what Freeman did to them. Freeman did a lot through the air, too, last week. They threw the ball to him quite a bit. So I think Spiller could be a guy that for $3,900, I'll take a shot in a league or two.
Interested to see how they work into the offense as the season goes on. But if it's a running back for me, it's going to be Ingram. You saw what Freeman did to him. I don't love it, but I could see how someone would fall in love with that opportunity.
Yeah. I'm not touching a wide receiver in this game. If Drew Brees plays, Dallas has a pretty good secondary. If he doesn't play, I mean, you're looking at Luke McCown throwing the ball. Tight ends, though, I think Jason Witten is a solid option at $4,400.
I just hate how much Whedon hurts him,
Does he hurt him?
I think he does. To me, he does.
I mean, he had 6 catches on 7 targets for 65 yards last week, and they ran the ball a lot. I think that was more of a matchup thing against the Falcons, and they'll run the ball again a lot this week. But I think Witten could catch a touchdown. Again, I'm going with Charles Clay in a lot of my lineups, so that could buy me. But Gavin Escobar is another guy. You're solely almost depending on a touchdown, but that happens every now and then. It'll happen as soon as you draft Jason Witten.
I'm staying away from Dallas receivers with Whedon. It's just you got to do better than that.
Yeah. Do you? It's a Sunday night game. Do you want Dallas's defense for $2,800?
No. Yeah, I mean, Luke moved the ball pretty good last week. He went for over 300, I think. I think there are better matchups out there. You're probably not going to talk me out of the Cardinals against the Rams.
All right. We've got 2 more matchups, and then we'll be done. We'll wrap things up. Detroit at Seattle.
Ooh. I'll say this. I normally backload my lineups because I like having something left in the tank after Sunday night. But it's really hard to pick anything from this game. Running back wise, for Detroit, maybe Amir Abdullah. He's my guy. But I think Detroit's going to be down for sure, and maybe get some check down work. But Theo Riddick kind of spoils that for him. So it's risky.
Yeah. If I don't like any of the Lions. At Seattle at like Monday night, I think that the Lions are just kind of they're struggling. I don't know. They something's not clicking. If you were gonna go somebody like a running back, yeah, Abdullah would be the guy. He's gonna catch a pass or two. He'll probably maybe get some garbage time stuff. I'll talk about Russell Wilson's not a bad play. He's $7,100. What did he do last week? 16 points. So he kind of underperformed last week for what he cost. But I think that's because they were up so big. I think it'll be a closer game this week than it was last week. But I think Seattle ends up winning big. If Marshawn Lynch does not play, Thomas Rawls, he's a rookie. $3,000, the minimum. He rushed for 104 yards last week. Looked really good. The Lions' defense is not very good against the run. And, I mean, if you're trying to save money somewhere, that's a solid play. But if you're stuck, if Lynch plays, then you're kind of screwed. So that's a gamble you have to be willing to take. Terry, do you like any Seattle wide receivers?
No, and pretty much just copy and paste this answer for every week. I hate all Seattle receivers, always, forever, and always. That's not their MO. That they're gonna run the ball. They're gonna throw when needed, but none of them excite me. None of them are overly talented. I don't have much to say about it.
That's all you can say. You're right. Do you like Jimmy Graham?
Not at that price tag. He's what's he at on DraftKings? He was expensive.
6,000.
Yeah, 6,000. You can spend that money a lot better somewhere else. He complained about his role in the offense, and he got a touchdown. I knew that was coming. I think I told Zach that he was going to.
What'd you say?
Jimmy Graham was catching a touchdown because he complained about his role.
Yeah. Well, his touchdown, it was more of a touchdown. Like he did the work. I mean, he caught the pass at like the 30, so it wasn't really intended to be like let's like force the ball to Jimmy until he scores. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm surprised you haven't brought this up yet, but Golden Tate revenge game. I
didn't even think about that.
You're all about the revenge game.
You're right. I am about the revenge game. I told Terry last week that Charles Clay and who else did I say? I said basically.
You struck out on DeMarco.
I did strike out on DeMarco Murray. He didn't play though. Had he played, oh wait, that was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he sucked against the Cowboys. I thought Murray was gonna, come back and play hard against the Cowboys. He did not. He played soft. But last week, Charles Clay said like a big FU to Joe Philbin and the Dolphins. Richie Incognito did the same. Actually, Chris, what's his name? Chris Givens? Chris something. Hang on. 7-Eleven.
Oh, Hogan.
Chris Hogan scored a touchdown. Are you kidding me? Rex Ryan is the master of revenge games. That's what could happen this week with Doug Baldwin or Golden Tate. I don't know. Seattle's tough.
From a matchup standpoint, it kind of makes some sense. It's going to be Sherman and Calvin. So Golden Tate, gets a break on Sherman or without Sherman. So I could see it. Chancellor's back, so it makes everything.
I just don't think Stafford is. It's not the receivers that are the problem. It's Stafford. I've never really liked him very much, and he hasn't done anything this season. He's making a lot of money for not doing much of anything. Yeah, they went to the playoffs last year, but he only threw 22 touchdowns last year, like 13, 14 picks. I mean, or something like that. I don't know. I mean, No.
Well,
I'm staying away from the Lions.
Tate might be worth a flyer. He's only 5,300. He plays on Monday night, so if you're looking for something to give you a little bit of a shot, that might be a little bit of a differential play. I don't think a lot of people are going to have Tate. Again, avoiding Sherman, so we'll see.
The Thursday night game, if you're in a lineup that has, you're an entry that has Thursday night games, do you like anybody, Terry?
The great unknown, Michael Vick.
He's cheap.
I actually had to pick him up in my dynasty league because I have Brady and Mariota both on a bye.
Sorry.
So yeah, I don't know what the offense is going to look like. I love Bell always. He's going to produce regardless. But I think you stay away just because of the sheer unknown. To me,
I think Le'Veon Bell could be a solid play. I think Antonio Brown is matchup proof, quarterback proof. And it's not like Michael Vick is an established NFL quarterback. We're not talking about Dan Orlovsky here or somebody,
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess
it's been a long time, okay, and he was signed like right, but I mean Antonio Brown just seems to be open, and it's not that hard. I feel like to throw to the open guy. Like I don't know. I think Brown still gets his 8 catches for 120 yards, maybe a touchdown.
I don't. I disagree.
Against the Ravens, I mean, the Ravens' defense, their secondary they were torched by the Raiders. They were torched by the Bengals. I don't know how Peyton Manning didn't manage to torch them, but they're bad.
I mean, look, Brown's the most expensive. Is he the most expensive this week? No, Julio is. Brown's $9,200. Are you putting $9,200 into your lineup with Michael Vick playing quarterback?
Maybe not a millionaire.
So
maybe not
risky.
Maybe
you can't play him as a millionaire. So.
Okay.
It's Thursday, so I think you can spend that money elsewhere. All the Ravens. What about this Steve Smith? I don't know what to make of him.
I think I'd play him. Who else are they throwing the ball to? Him and Crockett Gilmore.
Michael Campanaro and Marlon Brown. That's it.
Did Marlon Brown? I thought he got cut.
No.
You sure?
Yeah. He's on here. 3,000.
I thought he was I looked at somebody else. Steve Smith could be an option. What about Justin Forsett? I need him to come alive for the sake of that trade I made.
That trade's turned out to be just one of the most
garbage for both of us.
Alfred Morris for Justin Forsett. I mean, talk about 2 irrelevant players the last 2 weeks.
Right. I expected Morris's production to drop off, which is why I traded for Forsett, who was supposed to be the guy. Like what happened? This offense is just I don't know what's going on under Trestman.
Baltimore's gross right now. Everybody but Steve Smith. Pittsburgh doesn't have a great secondary. I can't put any stock into Steve Smith. I mean, I feel like it's just a random occurrence when he goes off. But, I mean, I get the argument. Who else are they throwing to?
Yeah.
He got 17 targets last week.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't blame you at all.
All right, I'm putting together a lineup. Tell me what you think about it. Yeah. All right, tell me what you think about this lineup.
All right.
All right, so I'm going Tyrod Taylor, Carlos Williams at running back, Alfred Blue at running back, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., A.J. Green. I went Richard Rodgers at tight end for the cheap. He's the minimum 2,500. James Jones in the flex, and the Raiders defense at Chicago.
That's a good lineup. I mean, you've spent in all the right places.
Now I could upgrade Richard Rodgers and get Jared Cook if I want.
Yeah, tiebreaker. Aaron Rodgers over Nick Foles.
You're right. It's close, but you're right.
Yeah, James Jones, in addition to Green, Julio, and Beckham, that's a pretty stout receiving core there. Yeah, Blue. As long as Foster doesn't play, I'm feeling pretty good about Alfred Blue.
Now, if Foster plays, that may blow up my lineup, but
yep.
Yeah, I feel good about that. I mean, I think I'm getting at least 25 targets to my wide receivers. I've got 4 wide receivers. I'm probably getting 30 to 35 wide receiver targets. And then I'm just playing matchups and against for my running backs. I think the Giants-Bills game could be a shootout. As odd as that sounds.
Yeah. I don't know if the Giants can keep up, as odd as that sounds.
Well, I mean, there's only one way to do that, and it's throw it to Odell Beckham. So,
they've shown they don't really care about the pass.
Do you got anything else to say as we wrap up?
Nope. We've been doing pretty well in DraftKings so far, so I'd like to think that we're a good source of information.
I would also like to think that. I started with $25 back when they had their refer a friend. If you got someone to sign up using your link or whatever, they got $25 free, and you got $25 free. So I got $25 free, and I'm up to $107 right now. That's been about a month I've done that. So hey, and Terry, you started with 25, and now you're at. You played NASCAR.
I'm hovering right at 500.
Yeah.
So.
I think this week I'm going to get into some head-to-head matchups or some double ups. We've been playing these tournaments where there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in these tournaments, and you have to finish in the top 25% to get paid. But these double ups, basically the strategy is that you pick just a safe lineup. A quarterback is going to score, a running back, all these guys you're really confident are going to have good weeks. And all you have to do is finish in the top 50%, and you double your money. So they have those from like $1, $2, $5, $10, $25, $50. And there's a guy I follow on Twitter who has won about $400 since the beginning of the season just using double ups head-to-head. So I'm going to try those. You can only enter one entry, but if you enter those enough, in different contests, I think you could make a good amount of money.
Yeah. All right. Let's try and do this. Let's try and make this a weekly thing.
All right. Yeah, we'll try. But yes, we will try. So until next time, stay classy. And, I hope you win some money this week. So
yeah, good luck. Hope we don't cost you any.
Yeah. I'm going to try to install like a question and answer kind of thing. Maybe you can leave a comment or something about how well you did or how poorly you did. If you did poorly, it's Terry's fault. If you did well, you're welcome. Anyway, that is all the time we have today. So we will see you next time. Adios.
See ya.